Hi, everyone. Thank you so much for joining us this cold, chilly Monday afternoon. My name's Alana. I'm the Partner Success Manager here at the Australian Computer Society. And I just want to say, firstly, welcome. This is our 8th edition of the Career Toolkit Series, where we're exploring the kind of journey to best prepare you as you enter the industry. Today, we're exploring the topic of creating experience through volunteering and community, where we're going to kind of deep dive into the importance of volunteering, how it can support your journey, what you can get out of it, as well as how can it, support and build up your experience on your resume. So we're going to kick off quickly with an acknowledgement of country. So in the spirit of reconciliation, we would like to acknowledge the traditional custodians on the lands on which we gather from today and their connections to land, sea, and community. We pay our respects to elders, past, present, and emerging, and extend that respect to all Aboriginal and Torres Strait Islander peoples today. So as we touched on, my name's Alana Gretsch. My role at ACS is to support all our students and graduates. So you've probably seen my face around there a little bit, but if you do run into any questions after this presentation or in the future about your ACS membership, you're looking for any advice or troubleshooting with your accounts, feel free to reach out to myself. And we've also got the wonderful Jasmine, who's our new student engagement coordinator as well. So the idea is we're here to support you throughout your career and support you through your study journey as well. So a couple of quick housekeeping points. So please note your microphone and camera have been turned off for the duration of this webinar. The idea is it's being recorded and we want to protect your privacy. So apologies that you can't unmute and ask your questions, but with the third point there we touched on, we do have a Q&A function. So we really encourage you to ask questions throughout the webinar. We've got two wonderful presenters with us, so feel free to pop in the Q&A chat. If you don't have access to that tab, feel free to pop it in the chat group, and Jasmine will kindly pop them over into the Q&A for when we get up to that section of the webinar. If you do have any questions that weren't answered during the presentation today, or if you are having any issues, feel free to send us a screenshot if you are having any problems through to our email address, which is acsstudent@acs.org.au, and we'll do our best to troubleshoot them. And if you do have any further questions, welcome to reach out to us on LinkedIn or via email, and we'll help you get those answered. Please note a post-event email will be circulated after the event, and it will include a lot of the links that we touch on today, including upcoming events as well. So do keep an eye out for that email in the future. And we will submit your CPD points after the event. So sit tight, give us at least 2 weeks to get them through. And just note, to receive that CPD point, you do have to attend the whole webinar. So if you can only attend a little bit, that's fine. We've got a recording coming. But to get that CPD point, we do ask for you to sit through the whole thing. Now, I'd like to introduce our two wonderful presenters for today. We've got Jenna Gray, who's the People and Culture Advisor for CloudWorks, and we've got Pravang Dave, who's a Student Ambassador at Study Melbourne, along with a lot of other roles and titles as well. So we'll kind of kick it off with Jenna. Could you please tell me a little bit about yourself and your career journey?
Yes, thanks, Alana, and thank you all for having me here today. As you mentioned, I'm Jenna. I am currently working as a People and Culture Advisor at CloudWorks, which is a Salesforce consultancy. I started my career not in HR, in retail management, so many years ago, and I made a career change in my later 20s into HR. So I decided to go study during the lockdown period, as most of us did, and I studied HR at TAFE. And then I started at entry-level HR, so went back to entry-level, and have now been working in HR for over 4 years, and joined CloudWorks around 4 months ago. So my role at CloudWorks is everything employee experience, so from recruitment through to onboarding, employee engagement, and career development. So thank you so much for having me.
Wonderful. Thank you so much for being part of the event today. And we were also joined by Pravang. So if you want to tell us a little bit about your career journey to date and your studies.
Absolutely. Thank you, Alana, Jenna, and Jasmine. I'm Pravang. I would like to describe myself as a connector. So I'm a connector of what I'd like to call as the 4 Ps of impact, which is people, processes, products, and platforms. This isn't just a tagline, it's basically the strategy of how I plan my life around. I'm a TEDx speaker, a Study Melbourne Student Ambassador, and currently I'm studying a Masters of Business Information Technology in RMIT in my final semester. But apart from all of that, as a person, I feel I'm a strategy and systems thinker with a knack for storytelling at this point. I started my career in computer science. I was big into tech, and then I made a career transition into space in business IT. So my work pretty much lives in business, tech, community, identity, and courage. That's where you'll find me enjoying my time. And yes, I'm happy to be here and help you guys find your own voices. So thank you so much.
Wonderful. Yeah, thank you so much for giving up your Monday afternoon with us. So we're going to kind of go through a little bit of a journey, kicking off with, tell us a little bit about your volunteer journey and why you started volunteering. So we'll start with Jenna first.
Beautiful. So I started volunteering or looking to volunteer at the end of my studies. I was looking for a HR role at the time, and was sort of looking for something that gave me some purpose and also to build some skills relevant to HR. So I jumped onto Seek Volunteers and I scrolled for a little while looking for something that interested me. And that's where I came across Girl Guides Australia. For those of you that don't know what Girl Guides is or weren't a Girl Scout growing up, it's a not-for-profit organisation which is for women and girls, girls from ages 6 to 10 and then older. It's basically a informal education style volunteering opportunity to teach girls and young women practical skills, community project involvement, and some leadership skills. And it is wonderful. I've been doing it for almost 3 years now. I joined as an assistant leader to begin with and did some studies to become a qualified leader. And I run weekly sessions with the junior girls, so girls 6 to 10, and also some annual events like camping and all of the life skills that you don't learn at school, we get to do. So that was sort of how I started, and I have been committed since I joined.
That's brilliant. For those who don't know about Girl Guides, I myself was a little brownie a long time ago when I was quite young, and leaders like Jenna is just such an amazing opportunity as a young, child really or teenager. Someone you learn from and is one of those kind of first leadership people in their life. So it's an amazing role to be part of. That's brilliant. Pruvang, tell us a little bit about your volunteering journey and why you started volunteering.
Absolutely. Firstly, Jenna, Girl Guides Australia sounds so amazing. I mean, you get to learn a lot of valuable skill sets while camping and having fun with the community. I mean, that's super awesome. But yes, I started volunteering because I started in my bachelor's degree. I started volunteering because I was completely lost. I had no clue what to do because the two main questions remain unanswered in my life, which is number one, what am I actually good at? And number two, what do I want to do with my career? So that led to two things. Number one, curiosity, and second, confusion. Curiosity as to what am I good at? Confusion as to what am I supposed to do? So volunteering became my way of experimenting and being practical in real life. And I volunteered across a span of 6 different focuses and industries, ranging from consulting firms to aged care homes to cafes and hospitality. So I started volunteering because I wanted to understand myself better, understand my purpose and values better. And I started volunteering with Isaac. So if you know Isaac is basically a youth-led global non-for-profit organization facilitated by the United Nations, and it runs multiple projects in line with the Sustainable Development Goals (SDGs), and we are present in over 113 plus countries, and it's basically led by the youth for the youth. So I started with Isaac and then branched out into a whole lot of focus areas, but that's why I started volunteering in the first place.
Wonderful. And I guess touching on that one, Jenna, you've already kind of told us, but where did you find your current volunteer opportunities? Was it, you mentioned Seek Volunteer. Is it just as simple as typing it in, or is there a website, or how did you both kind of find these volunteer roles?
Mine was just Seek Volunteers. You can filter it by location, interest, and I was tossing up between elderly or someone living with a disability, and I felt like children may have been sort of the easiest, I guess, to commit to, and probably would gain the most valuable skills relevant to my career. But yeah, Seek Volunteers was super easy to use.
That's brilliant. And Pruvang, where did you find your volunteer opportunities?
Oh, mine was actually through a FOMO, aka fear of missing out. So my friend joined Isaac, and I see him doing all these amazing things, talking to people, building a group outside of your school and university. And I thought to myself, hey, am I missing out on something? So then I actually joined the local committee of Isaac. So if you Google isaac.org, there's actually a list of in which country, which location, which committee you're president of. So you can reach out to them and become a part of them.
Wonderful. And where did you find your current role at Study Melbourne? How did you come across that opportunity?
Ooh, that's quite an interesting story, Alana. So basically, before I came to Australia, I sort of researched organizations and communities that I want to be a part of, and Study Melbourne was one of them. So I came to Australia in February 2024, and by that time, the applications for the ambassador program just closed. So I was saddened by it. I was like, no, I need to become a part of it. So I waited for one whole year, interacted with the Study Melbourne events, went to their experiences, added some value in whatever way I can. And then I actually registered again, applied, interviewed, and then by grace and fate got selected as a Study Melbourne ambassador. So I think it's all about chasing what you personally want as well, which is what feels true to you and going for it.
That's brilliant and wonderful that you put in the work that year. You didn't give up. You had a goal and you were going to get it. It's brilliant. Now, with everything, there is pros and cons. What challenges or hurdles have you found whilst volunteering? We'll go to you first, Praveen.
Absolutely. So, in terms of the challenges, right, let's all be real for a second. Volunteering sometimes is perceived as unpaid work. And people have three main constraints: number one, time; number two, money; and number three, their schedules don't align. So, these are the three main things that do come as a cost. But the major challenge that I faced throughout like my 4 or 5 years of volunteering across 6 different focuses is sometimes I also fell into these common conceptions, which is I felt my time wasn't being valued. I felt my effort wasn't being considered. And I always viewed volunteering as an external or side quest. But I forgot the main part, which is it is a part of your own storyline, which is volunteering gives you back. It is a chance for you to find yourself through the work and effort you put in. And I think most importantly, it taught me how to show up and just care without having being an incentive or a job description provided. So I think that was the main challenge I faced. But then the more you sort of do it, the more you sort of see the growth in, and it just reflects.
That's brilliant. And Jenna, have you found hurdles or challenges while trying to juggle life and volunteering?
Definitely. I think you nailed it, Praveen. Managing time and full-time work, I think, has been my biggest challenge. It is a commitment, and the girls that I lead don't know that I'm unpaid, and that it's out of the goodness of my heart that I'm there to teach them. So I think it is sometimes thankless, but the way I think about it is obviously I focus on the endorphins I get after I leave a session or a camp. I always leave on a really big high with the warm and fuzzies, but I think all the experience I've gained that is I guess confidence building for me, learning how to adapt on the spot to different crazy kids sometimes is also a challenge. But I think I focus on my personal growth and what I'm getting out of it as well, because it's probably the main thing you can focus on when you're volunteering and you're not paid and you're committed.
That's brilliant. And that actually folds into my next question of what do you personally get out of volunteering? Because it can be taxing, it can be costly, and it can kind of take up a lot of your day. So yeah, I guess the warm and fuzzies, I guess it's the connections and the feeling of helping others, I guess that kind of keeps you going and drives ahead. Brilliant. We'll touch on the next phase. So how does volunteering cross over into your career? So how do you think the volunteering and community roles you currently have or have held over the years help support your career to date? Prabang, oh, sorry, Jenna, you go first.
Okay.
Jenna, go first.
Thanks, guys. I think definitely with my organization and planning, it was never my strongest suit in retail in my previous career. It's something I've had to do. I have to pre-plan and prepare all of the sessions, all the materials, and it's definitely something that I have used in my current career. I plan a lot of events. I often am pushing the senior leadership team to stay on track with tasks and yearly goals. So definitely my main transferable skill that I've learned is how to be organized, which has also come over into my personal life too, which is amazing. And then I guess communication and facilitation. So I didn't really have much experience doing or running workshops or leading groups of people in educational style before, because I hadn't ever had the opportunity to do so. And that's definitely what Girl Guides has given me. I'm talking to often 20 crazy children and trying to keep them engaged throughout a educational activity or a craft. So that has helped too, because I'm dealing with humans in my role who are also, no matter what age, unpredictable and can throw a curveball with questions. So definitely both those two skills have been the main things I've taken over into my career.
That's brilliant. And Pruvang, how about yourself? How do you think volunteering and community roles have helped support your career so far?
So volunteering taught me to break down one of the biggest myths I held, which is I thought volunteering is extra, but it's simply not. It's embedded. It's embedded into every single thing you do. Your personal life, your professional life, it's all intertwined. Throughout various volunteering roles, as Jenna rightly mentioned, transferable skill sets, adaptability, that's one thing that you can sort of instantly gain once you sort of move into your career. For example, I was afraid of public speaking. I was afraid of speaking in front of the crowd. I was afraid of networking because, I mean, as a student, the industry feels quite daunting. Everybody tells you to network, but nobody tells you how to do it. Everybody tells you to build a career, but there's no single roadmap, right? So that's why I think volunteering really helped me. First, it helped me push me out of my shell so that I look at the broader picture. And secondly, as much as I started doing it, I started talking to people, I started hosting sessions, I started running sessions, and it brought me public speaking. And secondly, it intertwined because as I'm into the business IT space right now, everything helps me connect. So I go back to my original strategy of the 4 Ps: people, processes, products, and platforms. My volunteering roles tied each into one single thing, and it helps me connect the whole thing so that I can become a better individual, both personally and professionally.
I think that's such a great takeaway that you've mentioned there, like public speaking, and then Jenna with like being able to run events and organizing people. These kind of opportunities sometimes in the career world doesn't come until a bit later on. So you're almost fast tracking those opportunities, and it's kind of almost like fast tracking your career as well, to be able to say, hey, I've got those skills, I know how to do it already. Public speaking is a big one that you don't often get that opportunity until a little bit later on, but volunteering can help kind of fast track that one for you. So there's a lot of focus on the importance of soft skills. So I think this whole Career Toolkit webinar series is almost dedicated to the soft skills, because we're getting a lot of feedback from industry that it's wonderful you got your degree or your studies, but they're also looking for that culture fit, that team fit, and that's through those soft skills. So when we mention soft skills, we're talking about, being able to communicate, problem solving, teamwork, and fitting in a team. Jenna, how has your experience volunteering with the Girl Guide supported your growth in these soft skill areas?
I think communicating with different types of people is definitely a core skill that I've gained. I have used examples in interviews, especially earlier on when I was looking for my first role in HR. I've used examples of activities I've run to show initiative or show facilitation skills. As my admin onboarding role for HR, I was in charge of facilitating onboarding sessions for people who've just joined the business. I was in a law firm at the time. So that's definitely something I remember vaguely using as part of my interview to get that role, was my experience in Girl Guides.
That's brilliant. And I mean, communication skills, I think, is such a big one. That's probably the main soft skill that gets called upon, because, you need to be able to communicate with the clients and communicate with customers. And yeah, these volunteer roles, you're often talking to people who aren't in your little tech bubble, who don't understand often what you're talking about. So this is such a great tool to be able to communicate with, different demographics, age groups, genders, and everything. So that's brilliant. Pruvang, when it comes to like uni clubs and peer mentoring and a lot of those kind of volunteer programs, were you a part of these initiatives, and what kind of value did you get from them?
Yes, absolutely. So, Isaac, as I mentioned earlier, so I was in Isaac in India and then I left Isaac. So the first thing I did when I came to Melbourne was find that club within my university. So I'm part of Isaac in RMIT, and I am the director of sales and business development within that club. So since I already had previous reference, getting into that club was much easier. But one amazing fact about universities is that it offers you lots and lots of resources for networking and making friends. For example, there's multiple unique clubs pertaining to your interests. We have the tech club, a business club if you're into motorsports, an F1 club. They have cultural clubs as well. They have the Indian club, Vietnamese club, the Japanese club, various cultural clubs as well based on interest tribes. So I was a part of many of them. For example, I love playing the guitar, but I only know three chords so far. I haven't been able to progress further. But I was a part of a music club in RMIT, and that taught me further skill sets as well. So, and also peer mentoring, right? I believe 90% of Australian universities have a peer mentoring program wherein you can help guide the upcoming students as well. So peer mentoring also is a very valuable skill set to have because you're not just helping out another fellow student, you are literally sharing your story with your experience and helping them live an even better experience when they start the university. So, university clubs, peer mentoring initiatives, all of that tie into two things. Number one, your experience is personalized. You don't feel that you're volunteering just because you have to. It's more personalized, it's more incentive based, that you get something out of it. You either get connection, or you either get knowledge, or you get to share your experience. So that's why I've been a part of almost countless uni clubs based on interest type and everything, but they do take you a very long way in your journey.
Yeah, I think uni clubs do it and do it well. I think there's so many great opportunities. So if you are studying at a university, I think definitely take the time to understand if your uni does have these clubs to get involved in. At ACS, we're involved with quite a few, and I'm going to give them a quick shout out about QT Band, which is Business Analysis and Data. They're going to call me out because I can never get the acronym right. But groups like that, they each have roles within the uni club, and it's fully run by these students, and they have their own events, connect with industry, have their dedicated sponsors, and it's just brilliant. And those, that you're showcasing all those great skills already, and building those connections that by the time you come to graduation, you've done the hard work. So definitely recommend getting involved in uni clubs. And if you're not studying at a particular uni, if you're at a TAFE or anything like that, you can still look up those clubs, go to their events. I don't think quite often they, shut out the idea of other people attending, but it can be really valuable. And you touched on there on mentoring, and I'm going to go off track for a second. Mentoring is really valuable. At ACS, we don't yet have a national mentoring program, but we're really big on the idea of a coffee catch-up. And definitely at ACS, we can support you with that as well. But I guess, do either of you have experience with mentoring, being either a mentor or a mentee, and got that value out of that as well?
Uh, Yes, I'd like to add on to that front. So since I'm a student and I'm an international student currently, so I'm proud to call Melbourne my second home as well. So the most interesting thing about coffee catch-ups you mentioned, Alana, is as a mentee, I have the flexibility and the liberty to reach out to any individuals, whether they are in my field of profession, my desired field of profession, or just something I want to learn about. It's just one simple message asking them out saying, hey, I love the work that you're doing. And can we sit down for just 15 minutes? I would love to understand, pick your brain a little, and just have a bond over coffee. And I was initially very new to this concept. So I was very taken back. I was like, no, how can you ask anyone just for 15 minutes? That would be an intrusion of their time. They probably have more important things to do than just talk to a student, right? But I was taken aback by the amount of positive responses I've got. And that led me to start a series of my own on LinkedIn known as Career Cafeteria, wherein I just have coffee chats with amazing individuals, whether it be aspiring professionals, emerging professionals, or established professionals, and just narrate their story and their experiences to the world. So as a mentee, I'd say I have been grateful enough to have been mentored by some amazing individuals and get to know their stories. So yeah, mentoring is super important.
That's brilliant. I love that you've got a series dedicated to it. I promised to those online. We didn't plan that. So that's brilliant that you've got that already. We're going to touch on LinkedIn, but if you're not following Pravang already, I definitely recommend you go check him out. Jenna, have you had some experience when it comes to mentoring or being a mentee and that kind of give back and things too?
Yeah, I've been a part of setting up a mentor program at my previous role, which was highly valuable. It was for the sort of junior level new managers. They were paired with more senior leaders of the business to build development skills, obviously, to talk a little bit more about on a personal level how they got to their careers, because there's no one career, as Pavang mentioned at the beginning. There's no steady path for anybody. And I've also got a peer mentor currently. So I'm working in HR, which is can be quite a secluded role. And I don't often have people in the business that I can talk to about HR things. So I have a fortnightly call with a previous colleague in a little bit more of a senior role than me. And we often will just talk through any problems we're having and get ideas and bounce ideas off each other. So she's my mentor. And I took initiative to put that in. It's often just virtual and can only be half an hour sometimes, but it's highly valuable for me to have someone to lean on and just to talk through things, even though she's not in the same industry as me. So highly recommend.
Yeah, that's brilliant. And yeah, so valuable. Sometimes it is great to have that kind of industry difference. Sometimes the problems or the questions might be the same, but they're not, fully in touch with what you're working on, which kind of can get a different perspective on as well. But we do find a lot of professionals or senior leaders, they can't necessarily sign up for a volunteer role, but they're happy to give up their time to catch up for a coffee or have a chat. I know we recently held a big conference, and the highlight for a lot of the professionals there was to get to meet students and talk to them and give advice and things. So a different kind of form of volunteering to look into as well. Now we're going to kind of now look more at, the volunteering experience and how it can support you in the job hunting process. So for someone who doesn't have experience in the industry just yet, we're going to touch on how you can use and promote out your volunteering experience online and in your resume to support the job hunting journey. Pravang, you're all over LinkedIn and you do LinkedIn very, very well. Do you have advice, or how would you promote that you've volunteered an event or volunteered in a program? How would you promote that and include that on your LinkedIn?
All right, amazing question, Lana. So yes, I would go back to the previous point that I mentioned about one of the myths I held, which is volunteering was extra. And I'd repeat again that it's embedded, right? So in the job hunting process, first of all, LinkedIn, initially, whenever I opened LinkedIn, I would get daunted and I was emotionally intimidated by the sheer amount of awesome things that people were doing, but I was not doing it, or at least I felt like I was not doing it, because every time I opened LinkedIn, someone's at an amazing conference, someone is giving a keynote, someone is happy to announce, someone is happy to share, someone's in updated position. So I would shut down LinkedIn within the first 2 minutes because of the intimidation it gave me. But then I started understanding that LinkedIn is not just a platform, it's basically a professional journal of your own self, right? So I started by firstly, any volunteering experiences I did, I used the 3 R's framework. I know I'm big on words, 4 P's, 3 R's, but that's how I sort of build my analogy, right? The 3 R's for LinkedIn that are super important according to me are: number one, whatever you've done in volunteering, whether you've helped a local council, whether you were a food bank volunteer, whether you've just helped an event setup or anything, number one, results. What results did you get out of that experience? Number two, and I think that's the most important thing people on LinkedIn are looking for, which is not what you did, but what do you think of what you did? So that's number two, reflection. And number three, relevance. That how does this tie to who you are? And how does this tie to the person that you want to become or to the profession that you want to enter? So let's just say, if I talk about myself, I'm in the business IT space. I lead the business development function at Isaac and RMIT. And I recently created an event known as the Changemakers Academy, which involved a workshop, panel discussions, and everything. So how I'm going to promote that? Results, firstly, is a national scale event engaging over 170 plus participants. Then reflection, which is I personally enjoyed because it helped me categorize panelists, talk about sustainability and tech, and help create more impact and more awareness. And finally, relevance, which is as a person in the business IT space, I myself find it fulfilling because sustainability should be at the core of what the industry is moving towards. I gave this example because most people think volunteering is a side note, but it's your own storyline. You need to leverage it and use it as practical experiences that shape you. And if you use the 3R framework, I swear it will help you build your own profile better. And also to the people who are viewing your profile, be it be potential recruiters, audiences, anyone else, they will get that authentic experience from your post as well. So yeah.
That's brilliant. And it is so valuable to, take a photo and showcase what you're doing because, people don't know what you're up to unless you're talking about it. So it's great to put it on your LinkedIn. And I love your 3Rs. That's brilliant. We recently had a conference in Queensland and we had 18 volunteers. And I almost put like a challenge to them and said, make sure you get a photo today with a professional or each other and put it on your LinkedIn, celebrate that you were part of it. And to watch it still getting engagement and everything now, I think it's like 2 months or a month or two afterwards, people are really excited to see you give back and it could just be what helps you stick out when someone looks at your LinkedIn profile. So that's some brilliant advice. Jenna, from a hiring manager's perspective, what do you look for in resumes when it comes to volunteering experiences?
I think you touched on it earlier. Most of you probably who are on this call don't yet have the technical experience that a prospect employer is looking for. So volunteering and having volunteering on your resume or on your LinkedIn is a way to prompt them in interviews to ask questions about the volunteering and for you to give real stories, even if they're not paid roles, about how what soft skills you've learnt or gained by volunteering. And I guess there's two ways you can promote it in your resume. If it is volunteering that's really relevant to the field that you're applying for, you can include it in your professional experience. It's seen, in my opinion, as a recruiter, a really a high valued skill or a high valued thing to see someone take initiative to do unpaid work to gain skills, and that shows initiative, and that's what most prospect employers, especially at entry level, are looking for, is just initiative, people who are willing to learn and put themselves out there. And then the other way, I guess you can have a separate volunteer section. That's what I had in mind or have in mind, is it's still outlining all of the achievements I have and basically what my volunteering entails, but in two different ways. So professional experience or in a separate section for volunteer. And yeah, as I mentioned, having any story in an interview, a lot of interviews host behavioral questions, so they'll want you to give an example of when you've done a thing, and volunteering is a way for you to get that experience and find those stories to bring up in interviews.
And Jenna, when it comes to those interviews, if the volunteering isn't necessarily in tech or in the industry, do you still think it's okay to use that story? Is it still relevant?
Definitely, yeah. I think they're not expecting you, especially in your first leg in the door roles, to have experience in the industry. So any relevant soft skill experience or development you've done will show them or give them an example of how you can portray skills that they're looking for in their company. So yeah, definitely include it.
That's brilliant. I think it's always funny in interviews. When I first started, I worked in like a bakery and worked there for too long. I think it was like 10 years. And even to this day for my interviews, I still pull on experience that might not necessarily be in the exact industry, but it is still valuable. Any way that you can demonstrate that problem solving, customer service and those kind of things is super valuable. Now, if anyone does have questions in the audience, feel free to pop it in the Q&A box and we'll get to those ones shortly as well. Now we're going to move on to volunteering at like tech conferences. So there's a lot of big events coming up. You got tech conferences, meetup groups, hackathons. How do you think, how does these kind of events and volunteering at these events help you meet industry professionals? Jenna, you've mentioned in the past that you volunteered at the Salesforce World Tour. What was that experience like and what did you get out of it?
Yeah, so that was only 2 weeks into my CloudWorks career. I was very new to the industry. I didn't really know anything about Salesforce or how it worked. I didn't know my team at all. I'd only met a handful of people because we're a very hybrid, flexible model. So I volunteered to go as an opportunity to get to know the employees, the CloudWorks people that were going to be at the stand, and also to understand a little bit more about what we do and what service we can provide to our clients. I was super nervous, and I'm a very quite extroverted person as it is, but I was super nervous because in case prospect clients or prospect people that were wanting to join CloudWorks asked me questions that I didn't have answers to, but I was able to build really strong connections with those people from CloudWorks that attended just by leaning on them if I didn't have an answer for a question, or listening to them and how they integrate with clients and how they discuss what the services were. So if I hadn't gone, I definitely wouldn't have met some of the people that had flown in from around Australia to come to that event. I definitely wouldn't know half as much as I do about Salesforce, which is definitely new to me. I'm not a tech guru myself. But yeah, I don't regret it, that's for sure. It definitely gave me some great connections with my internal team.
That's brilliant. And it's awesome that you saw an opportunity in those first few weeks of your career and you just jumped straight into it for that opportunity. That's brilliant. Now, Pruvang, you've done some work with the TEDx event series. Could we learn a little bit about that and how those volunteering opportunities assisted you?
Absolutely. Firstly, thank you, Jenna, for sharing that Salesforce experience. It sounds amazing, to be honest. And someone who's a fellow fan of Salesforce, absolutely love it. So amazingly done. But yes, about me, I volunteered at a lot of tech conferences and hackathons. I'll share about my work with the TED group later. But for me, initially, when I first started networking, I hadn't heard of LinkedIn or anything. And I thought networking is just collecting business cards, which is, hey, can I get your card? Can I get your contact? Anything. Then when I heard about LinkedIn, networking to me was about sending a connection request saying, hey, would like to love connecting with you on LinkedIn or whatever, right? Volunteering at tech conferences or hackathon, here's the magic. It authenticates that networking, whether you are just helping a panic speaker run down their slides or just helping them practice, whether you're coordinating pizza delivery for the audiences at the very last minute, or just even organizing the chairs, tables, and the decks for the speakers, it makes you a part of someone's stories. It gives you an insider edge. Networking as an external. Imagine yourself as a volunteer to that event and imagine yourself attending that event. All right. Two main things. When you're attending an event, you're an external. That's when you're collecting business cards. And that's when you will be a part of someone's story, but that connection won't be strong enough. But when you volunteer, you're a part of someone's story. They know you, you know them. It gives you access to a lot of people. And the same thing happened with me with my TED story. So as a kid, I used to love watching TEDx talks on YouTube. I was hooked to them because they were like mini clips of wisdom and insight. So I dreamed that maybe one fine day I want to be on that stage giving that same talk, but I didn't know how to do it. So when in my first year of bachelor's, when I heard of TED conferences happening, I immediately signed up to be a volunteer. My first TED conferences, I was just someone who was handing lanyards to people, which is, hey, here's your attendee lanyard. Please sign off. Please take off your name. Second conferences, I was helping the speakers with their keynotes, arranging chairs and everything. And 3 years later of volunteering at almost 10 to 12 different conferences around my hometown, India. 3 years later, I was the one sharing that stage and giving my first ever TED talk on that stage. So I think it's all very, not strategic, but very intentional, because when you volunteer for a cause that aligns with your own self, the results show up. So yeah, that's how it sort of helps. It gives you access to people and it authenticates networking for you.
I think that's brilliant. And what I like about you, Pruvang, is you have like a long-term goal with these things. It's not just a one-off of like, yep, what's next. You see a long vision and you work towards it as well, not only in like a career space, but the volunteering space as well. That's brilliant. So think about it. Every type of big event often has volunteer roles. They're not necessarily going to advertise it on the front page because they do want people to buy tickets. But have a think about, reaching out to the organisers and asking if there's an opportunity, and see how you can get involved as well. I know at ACS for our larger conferences, we do offer, a few volunteer opportunities and things. So keep an eye out for in our, ACS Weekly and our LinkedIn community groups as well. Now we're going to talk about where can you find these volunteer opportunities. So how can local meetup groups and professional communities such as ACS help accelerate your career? Jenna, what's your experience kind of so far with, meetup groups and community groups and even ACS? How can we kind of support our attendees in this webinar with their career?
I know that you mentioned you'd had a couple of events in the last 12 months that many of your students have volunteered in, which is wonderful. I've had friends who are studying fashion. They've volunteered to be part of Fashion Week and things like that. So I definitely think find something that interests you and put your hand up. It may not be always available, but definitely just putting yourself out there, letting them know that you are interested in whatever capacity, and think about it in a learning opportunity for yourself.
That's brilliant. And Pravang, what's your experience like with meetup groups? And, we're talking about the community kind of sector here. How can community support you in your career as well?
Absolutely. And I think communities have been the biggest asset to me in navigating my own journey as an international student in Melbourne as well. So I would say in terms of where can you find volunteering opportunities, the biggest thing volunteering has ever taught me is to ask one simple question, which is, can I help? And if so, how? Right? That's one simple question. So there's many platforms, like, for example, ACS is an amazing community. They have multiple events, multiple conferences, and they have volunteering spots as well. So find communities. And I would say in terms of opportunities, around 40% of them are advertised, 60% of them are not advertised in volunteering opportunities. So I would say ask yourself this one simple question: who needs help around me and how can I help? Whether it be a cafe, a community, an organization, or even an aged care shelter, an animal shelter, anything. Just walk in, and around many of my opportunities have just come from this one single space where I walked into something interesting and asked, hey, how can you help? Because the truth is, every community needs an extra pair of hands that they can use to better their impact, to better their work, to better the job that they're doing. All you need to do is ask. So, yeah.
That's brilliant. And I love that idea of ask if you can help, if you've got the capacity to. It's a wonderful way of kind of supporting other people. There's so many amazing meetup groups in the area. We're going to send around a document in the post-event email. It's going to hyperlink to a number of great, local groups like Her Tech Circle. You've got She Codes. You've got dedicated meetup groups to types of technology. So we'll share a bit of a resource that you can kind of investigate. But I think utilize tools like LinkedIn and Google and, say AI meetup group, where can I find them and things like that. At ACS, we also have our LinkedIn community groups, which we'll touch on more shortly, and we welcome you to all to be part of them as well. But if someone is interested in finding a local community group, meetup group, or volunteer opportunity, where would you start?
I started on Seek Volunteers, and I know you're going to share, I don't know if it's in this pack or afterwards, some resources on exactly where to find it. But Seek Volunteers is where I found Girl Guides Australia. There's lots of different things. If you're really into music, you can volunteer at different festivals, at the gates, or you can volunteer with people with neurodivergent people or people with a disability, if that's something that interests you. And often volunteering, depending on what you go for, they will put you through specified training. So for me, I had to get a Working with Children check to work with the children. So that's extra things to add to your resume that training that maybe you didn't get or you wouldn't have had to put on there unless you'd volunteered. So I would say seek volunteers. That's the main place I've looked. And when anyone ever asks me how I got into Girl Guides, I recommend they go on there, and within 5 minutes of them scrolling, they'll find something that interests them. But that's where I would say.
Wonderful. And Pravang, if somebody's never volunteered before, or they're not sure how to join a community and things, like where's your piece of advice? Where should they start?
Absolutely. So if you're someone who has never volunteered before and looking for where to start, I have 3 things for you, which is number 1, start messy, start local, and start now. Right? First things first, start messy. Your first volunteering experience shouldn't be about prestige or shouldn't be profound. It should just be about being present. Right? 1 hour of stocking food boxes, a student webinar, or just helping out a fellow mentor. Okay? You can do anything. Number 2, start local. Start reaching out to, let's just say, as Jenna mentioned, Chic Volunteer, or let's just say govolunteer.com. You have a couple of different websites, resources. But beyond that, reach out to communities, reach out to local groups, even your councils. For example, I remember in my previous accommodation in Hawthorne, I was a part of Burundura Council. So I walked up to the council one fine day and I was like, hey, I'm a local international student living there. How can I help you guys? And then they made me as their ambassador to sort of promote volunteering opportunities. And your local councils have volunteering fairs as well. So imagine a volunteering fair or a session wherein you have more than 20 to 30 organizations in a single community hall advertising multiple positions, multiple roles for volunteering. So I would say all you need to do is have an active attitude and start seeking out. And yeah, just be present.
I think that's great. And I love the, have a positive attitude towards it all as well. My little 2 cents is take all opportunities. When I was coming up to the end of my degree, I remember our teachers were like, oh, we've got some events, conferences you can be part of. And the difference is my degree was in a business degree. So it was, relevant to that. And it was quite surprising because it was just me and my friend that put our hands up, and we were like, where is everybody else? This is an amazing opportunity. And nobody else wanted to, give up their Saturday to go to a conference and help out. And I just thought, why not? And it was a great way where me and my friend, we stood out. We could put it on our resume. And I think I'm showing my age here, but 15 years later, I'm still in contact with that conference organizer. And still can call on her for a reference and still call on her for advice and mentorship. So it's just amazing, say yes, become a yes person for these kind of things, and give it a go. And, it's really an amazing way to build your network as well. We've had stories where people have volunteered at, a charity food event and didn't realize they were standing next to a CEO of a major tech company, and just through conversation, it kind of came out. And it's like, oh, wow, I wouldn't have met this person at an event or, other places, but through a different avenue, I've really been able to broaden my network. So definitely take every opportunity sent your way and give it a go. And definitely, like Pravang said, have a good attitude towards it as well. Now, we've got some great questions coming through that we're going to start jumping into. So Trent gave a really great one. So amazing session, Jenna and Pravang, really inspiring and so well presented and articulated from you both. Did it take you a while to find the right volunteering initiative and community to put your support behind that aligned with your values and morals and not just towards a career path? Like, how did you politely turn down certain volunteer opportunities when you felt it wasn't kind of aligning right to you?
I don't have as much volunteering experience as the wonderful Pravang, but I think I've always had a passion for teaching and may even consider it as a future career. I also know that as I get older, the gap between the new generation and me is getting wider. So understanding that gap a little bit more, and it aligns with my values anyway. So I did start small. I didn't fully commit to Girl Guides Australia. I did a little bit of training and I came along to a couple of sessions just to watch how they interacted with the children and if it's something that I wanted to commit to long term. So you definitely can try before you fully sign up. So my advice would be to start with something really small, something that really interests you as a hobby potentially. and then grow from there. And then you can pivot and change if you want it to be more career focused, or you can make it more warm and fuzzy in what you get out of it from a feelings perspective. But start something really small, something that you're passionate about. But great question, Trent.
Yeah, brilliant question. Now, this one might be more towards you, Pravang, and it's so wonderful. Everyone's being so polite. Thanks to Pravang and Jenna for sharing their volunteering experience. This person, I was also involved in volunteering during my study at Western Sydney University, and it was a valuable experience. I'm interested in volunteering roles in IT industry, but finding it difficult to find this kind of opportunity in IT. Can you provide some insights on the best places to look for IT volunteering roles? Pravang, do you have any suggestions or insights to support them?
Yep, absolutely. So since I am in the IT space myself, I've been a coder, I've been an analyst, I've been a QA. I think, firstly, love that previous question. Saying no is a very important skill set, and I would like to emphasize that on the front as well. In terms of IT volunteering roles, they are not directly advertised. Let's just say if you go on to volunteering opportunities and look up for IT volunteering roles, you won't find that much because in that space, it's all about building a fundamental network. So I guess the best way to break into the IT volunteering space is firstly, go to networking events. Find fellow people, find fellow tech enthusiasts who, let's just say, are building something, who are starting something, or just even go to startup meetups. You'll find lots of tech enthusiasts there. And in terms of volunteering, it doesn't have to be labeled as a volunteering opportunity as well. All right. If you go to a startup meetup, find 4 people that you find whatever they're building is really interesting and amazing. And just talk to them that, hey, love what you're building. I personally resonate with it. Is there a problem or anything that you're looking forward to solve where I can contribute my 2 cents to? And you'll be indirectly contributing, working with a fellow founder, thinking like a founder and helping them solve a problem. So sometimes it's not direct volunteering. In IT, you may have to take a step back, reroute and view things from a different perspective. But I think that's the best way to just getting started. And you never know, you might find your next co-founder, you might find your next employment, your next venture, anything through these roles.
That's brilliant, and brilliant advice about the startup sector as well. Quite often those, startup individuals, or if they're quite small, they might not have capacity to offer a full role, but, they might need help, updating their website or something like that as well. Some advice there too is if you go to any career fairs, I was recently one at a university and they had, we had a booth, but I went around and started talking to people. And even on that day, I found 2 different volunteer roles for tech kind of call out. So it's amazing if you go to those events, ask about jobs and everything, but also say, hey, I've got some IT experience I'd love to, utilize. Do you have any volunteer roles or projects I can help with? And it's amazing how these conversations can come about. The question also finished if this meeting contributes to CPD points and how to claim it. If you are, utilizing professional development while you're volunteering, you might be able to claim that point manually. And if you want to know how in your ACS profile and stuff, you're welcome to email us and we can send you through some instructions. But that depends on like the time dedicated and everything too. But we can talk about that one offline. Matthew Jorgensen, who's part of our careers team, left some really great advice that LinkedIn actually has a section on your profile for add volunteer experience. And this really highlights, what you've done and what you're committed to as well. So when you promote, your volunteering role, definitely put it in that bio bit down the bottom as well. And that sticks out to employers. Now, we had an early on question for Pravang. You started volunteering in different domains as you were confused and uncertain about your professional career path. How did volunteering help you in your current work role? And, can you tell us a little bit about how it helped you kind of shaped your career to date?
Amazing. Love that question. Love that. So yes, initially I was confused and curious at the same time that, hey, what am I good at? So volunteering became a way for me to experiment practically in real life. So as Jenna has a passion for teaching, I too shared a passion for teaching. So while I was volunteering at Isaac, I was actually a part of a global volunteering team. So I went to Nepal to teach underprivileged kids in 5th to 8th grade And I stayed in Nepal for 6 to 7 weeks with those kids in their same school, understood about their culture, their curriculum, and helped teach them some basic concepts like English, maths, and physics. I did not know I could teach until that experience. Initially, my first 1 or 2 weeks were absolutely chaotic because I had no idea how to guide kids, how to get their attention span regulated and just make them sit down and focus. But throughout, as the 6 weeks progressed, I actually found out a very key insight about myself, which is I can simplify things now. I can connect people to the different platforms or processes or products for that matter. Right. So I took on that teaching experience. And if I was like, hey, I'm currently in the IT space, what if I can replicate this skill along with my passion for storytelling into the IT space? And guess what profession does that? Consulting or tech consulting. Tech consulting is nothing but engaging with stakeholders, simplifying things down, and contributing to value for both the parties, right? So I think that experience connects directly to my future aspiration of, let's just say, leading a tech consultancy and making this space a bit more human. But that's how you connect the dots. Some of the dots you may have might not connect directly, but it's not until you use that skill set and if you do some inner reflection, you realize, hey, I wasn't good at this before. If I hadn't done that volunteering experience, if I straight up jumped into my industry without that experience, I don't think I would have been a better public speaker, a confident connector, and just someone who simplified things. So I think those kinds of skill sets and experiences are really, really crucial into adding on to the long-term benefits. So yeah, that's my takeaway.
Yeah, that's brilliant. And yeah, I love that. You may not have gotten those same opportunities with your public speaking and stuff, and that way you can use those skill sets across any industry really you decide to go down. So that's brilliant. We've got 2 top tier questions we're going to do, and then the rest might have to sit for contacting Jenna and Pravang on LinkedIn. We are going to run over by a few minutes, so please stick with us as we answer these 2 last questions. We'll touch on some ACS resources as well, and then we'll close out. So Jenna, how can we use volunteering to meaningfully, grow our professional network without it feeling transactional?
Meaningfully grow
There we go. Professional network. Sorry, I can't even say the word. So how can volunteering really help us grow our professional network without it feeling transactional? So say you're volunteering at a conference and, you've got to make the most out of it, but you don't want it to be seen as transactional. You've got to build those relationships. How can you use volunteering to help you build that network?
Using my experience at the Agent Force World Tour, I did a lot of listening and just watching how other people interact and then kind of mirroring that. You can overhear, especially when you're in a volunteering environment, you overhear conversations and you can lean in. It does take a lot. You have to get out of your comfort zone to be a little bit more extroverted and put yourself out there. But volunteering, it doesn't feel transactional when you're doing it because everyone or most people that are there are also there to either learn something or buy a new service or depending on what you're doing. But I think, to answer the question, you don't have to get anything out of it. From a networking perspective, you may not walk away with 10 different LinkedIn profiles. That's not always the purpose of it. It could be just to put yourself out there to connect with other people, and you may not leave with other people's contacts, but at least you've built the skills to talk to other people, talk to different people, and be in a different environment.
Definitely.
Hopefully that answers the question.
Yeah, no, that's brilliant. Exactly that. Like if you're not sure how to talk to somebody, it's definitely good to listen in onto others and, see the different interactions. But yeah, networking is all about building those relationships. Like you said, you don't have to walk away with their LinkedIn and their, a meeting booked in and everything. You can literally just meet someone and make that connection and good first impression and leave it at that. And you might see them again at another event in the future, or, you may be able to connect with them LinkedIn in the future. But yeah, definitely, that kind of comes as practice. We did hold a couple of months ago a webinar on how to network your way to success, and we're always happy to share that link too if you want to watch that back as well. Okay, lucky last question. I think this is a great one. I'm still offshore studying business information systems online in Torrens University, and I'll be coming to Australia next year. Can I get remote volunteering opportunities? So I'm probably happy to answer this one if you like. So again, it's worth looking online at like Seek Volunteering and seeing if there's some projects you can do remotely. Even if you look for volunteer roles around where you are, where you're based. An example is I went to a new cafe yesterday in where I live, and asked them, I've got these skill sets. Would this be of any value? Could I support your new business? And I've never seen someone get so excited. So it's kind of like look for those local opportunities to you. If you're into web developing or those kind of things you can offer to a small business around you, is there an opportunity to support there as well? But we'll share this resource that will include a lot of hyperlinks of opportunities in Australia, but you can always follow those groups online until you do come to Australia. So yeah, there's a couple of different kind of opportunities there as well. And we'll ask the speakers our lucky last question. What is your final piece of advice and what would you like to leave everyone with today in regards to volunteering and finding their community? Jenna.
I may have already given this advice, but definitely start with something small, something that you're passionate about, and then it doesn't feel like a big commitment. So start small. You'll probably gain a lot of new friends from volunteering because often people who volunteer, they are like-minded like you or looking for the same sort of things out of volunteering. So start small and find something that you're passionate about would be my takeaway.
Wonderful. And I think we may have just lost Pravang, but I'll share a quick piece of advice and see if he joins us back in. But as we touched on earlier, I would just say yes. I think it's worth looking online, scoping around, seeing what kind of is of interest to you. And it was another great question that comes through of how to, utilize volunteering to close out a missing skill gap. Maybe that's what helps you, with your search is if it's like, oh, I need to work more on communication skills. Great, then look for like an event volunteering role or, a front of house volunteering role or food bank where you're talking to people, and that's how you can kind of tick that box as well. So I think just give it a go. It's nerve-wracking. It's, can be confronting putting yourself out there or cold reaching out, asking if there's an opportunity. It's all nerve-wracking, but I think just give it a go and you can learn from that as well. But I firstly want to say thank you so much, Jenna and Pravang, for your time this evening. It's been wonderful to understand and learn from your experiences and your advice, and thank you so much for joining us.
Thank you for having us. And I know Pravang would have probably said, say yes as well, similar to your advice. He's someone who has said yes to many volunteering opportunities. So thank you so much.
Absolutely. Sorry that I lost connection a bit. Some technical issues from my end, but thank you so much, Alana and Jenna, for having me. Really loved conducting this discussion with you. And I hope if there's one thing that you can take away from this session, it will be that stay yes, find your own purpose, resonate with what relates with you the most, and just go out there and make an impact. That's it.
Wonderful. Thank you so much to both of you for your time. Now, before everyone ducks off, we're going to quickly run through a couple of ACS resources that might be handy as well. So where to find those volunteer opportunities. Jasmine's kindly put together a really great document. We're going to send that out in the post-event email. It includes links to meetup groups, different organizations you can be part of, our ACS LinkedIn groups as well, but also a range of different volunteer opportunities to get involved in as well. So that will help when you're first searching for those opportunities. We also have our ACS Emerging Professional Community groups. So these are LinkedIn groups dedicated to just students and graduates and emerging professionals. And within these groups, we'll quite often promote out job opportunities, upcoming events, but also volunteer roles. So I know in the WA event just about, I think, a week or two ago, I actually shared volunteer roles for a big gaming conference that was coming up. So definitely keep an eye on those groups. Feel free to join them from the links that's been shared. But do know you do need to be an ACS member to join those ones. So if you haven't got membership yet, just welcome to find out more in a moment as well. Now, if you're interested in knowing what upcoming events we have in person and online, welcome to navigate to our website, and you can see that little highlighted tab there for events. We've got some really top tier events coming up with our emerging professionals. So if you're a Queenslander, we've got AI in action. How can AI work for you? And we've got 4 great demonstrations on the night who are going to detail and run through how they've used AI to support their career. And they range from high-level professionals to also somebody from a uni club that's going to talk about how they've used AI to support their uni. So come along, complimentary for members, $15 for non-members, and we're going to hold that one in person in Fortitude Valley. So feel free to follow the QR code. Do know that we'll include links into these in the post-event email too, so no pressure to capture these really quickly. If you're in New South Wales, we've got a great one coming up on Wednesday, the 16th of July. Please ignore the location. This one is also in person. It's based on your communication toolkit. So this is going to be a really great one when we're talking about those soft skills and focusing on communication, how to really utilize it. And then they're going to do a workshop so you can practice those skills on the night and really gain some insights into how to use them to the best of your ability. Wonderful. We've also got our Career Pathway series, How to Get a Job in Engineering. That's going to take place on Monday, the 21st of July. This is a great one to hear from different engineer people throughout their career. They're going to share their career journey, tips on how they got there, and advice for other people interested in pursuing different type of tech careers in engineering. And then if you're based in WA, we've got Establishing Your Personal Brand Online. So a really great hands-on workshop where you'll learn how to craft a professional but authentic brand that reflects you. So this one's very exclusive. I think it's only got about 30 spots. So definitely recommend jumping on that one quite quickly. And that one's held at the Microsoft building in WA. Now, we have a great platform called Skillsoft that hosts over 35,000 short courses and videos. And these are just some great ones that follow on from a lot of our discussions today. So making difficult conversations meaningful. We've got recognizing and responding to customer emotions, forging relationships with external stakeholders, and planning an effective presentation. So this platform has a great range of soft skill webinars and information sessions, but also has a lot of tech resources as well. So as you can see, these ones are around the 20-minute mark. But a really great platform to get used to and have a look and see what on there can support your journey as well. Now, if you're not yet an ACS member, welcome to follow the QR code or jump onto our website. If you're currently studying at one of our key education providers, you may be eligible for a complimentary student membership. If you're not sure, welcome to check out the website or message me directly and I can help you with that one as well. But we'd love to welcome you on board. If you don't already, welcome to follow us on social media. So we're on Facebook, LinkedIn, and we're slowly kicking off our Instagram. So it's a great way to kind of see what upcoming events and conferences and things are happening, but also our bigger announcements as well. But thank you again for attending. If you can take 2 minutes to complete the survey, it helps us shape this series as we're slowly coming up to the end of our first year. We're shaping up the second year. So we really appreciate your feedback. And again, thank you so much for your time, Jenna and Pravang. We really appreciate you having part of this event and hope everyone has a great evening. Thank you. Wonderful. Wonderful.
Thanks so much, Alana. Thanks, everyone.
Thank you. Have a great night.
Thank you, everyone. Have a great night.